on DC News Now.
And look what happened. Is this crazy?
Donald Trump is the next president of the United States. We're going over major shocking election results. Plus,
well, it's official. Angela Alsobrooks will be taking on that U.S. Senate seat representing Maryland. I'll tell you how voters feel about her victory.
While much of the country goes red, Democrats here in Virginia score a win in the Senate. We'll have the latest next.
And it's quite the warm Wednesday, but will the warm weather stick around? Meteorologist Damon Matson is tracking the forecast.
Thank you. I will not let you down. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than it has ever been before. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Shanika Grimshaw in for Mark Hall. Former President Donald Trump has been declared the 2024 President of the United States. In just the last several hours, the Associated Press saying Trump has secured the 270 electoral votes necessary to return to the White House. It's already being called one of the most remarkable political comebacks in history. National correspondent Maddie Biertemple has the latest.
Former President Donald Trump has surpassed the 270 electoral votes needed to win the White House, according to the Associated Press.
And look what happened. Is this crazy?
Republican Donald Trump thanked supporters as he declared victory in West Palm Beach, Florida, early Wednesday.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, joined him on stage.
I think that we just witnessed the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America.
The Trump-Vance ticket won the battleground states of Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, while at Vice President Kamala Harris's watch party.
You won't hear from the vice president tonight.
Harris campaign co-chair Cedric Richmond told her supporters at Howard University in D.C. the vice president would come back Wednesday to speak.
We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted.
When it comes to power in Congress, Republicans have taken control of the Senate. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he's optimistic Republicans keep control in the House.
And as we wait to find
All right, so far, the vice president has not addressed her supporters at Howard or the nation. However, her team says that she is expected to speak today. Kamala Harris hosted her watch party at her alma mater, Howard University. And here's a look at Howard University last night. This is the Harris watch party, and that took place on the campus. Thousands of supporters gathered in Northwest to support the vice president. But that crowd started thinning after midnight when the chance of a second Trump presidency appeared more likely. Be sure to stay with us here on DC News Now, on air and online. All right, meteorologist Damon Matson joins us with the latest check of the forecast. Damon, it's just so warm today, and I'm just loving those temperatures.
I know you're a fan of them, no doubt, Shanika, but we're going to be getting very warm before the day is done. And really, at this hour, we're already starting to test some records. Yes, record warmth is the main story as we go throughout the rest of the day. How about those readings right now? It's already 80 degrees in a few spots like Manassas, Fredericksburg. How about 81 already in Martinsburg? So the lower 80s, they're popping up here just after noon, and we still have another 3, 4, 5 hours to go to warm things up even more. DC, not there yet, but at 77 already. And how about Hagerstown? 78. I wanted to point that out because Hagerstown, there it is, has already tied the record high for that location set back in 1994. And across much of the rest of the area, Martinsburg then has already exceeded the old record set back in 1941. And it's very likely at this point that Dulles, Reagan, and for DC there, and even Annapolis are likely to set new records before the day is done. We are expecting those high temperatures everywhere to push at least up to 80, if not 81, 82 degrees. Now, at the same time, there is going to be an increase in cloud cover as the frontal boundary from a storm system to our west begins to swing on in. Now, as that front arrives, will we finally be able to break this extended dry stretch that has now been going for well over a month? We'll have that answer coming up in your full forecast here in just a bit.
Thank you. And here's where you could see where the Senate stands right now. Republicans taking over the balance of power now with at least 52 seats. There are still 6 Senate races that have not been called. And looking at your region, Democrat Angela Alsobrooks with a big win in Maryland. She tops former Republican Governor Larry Hogan, which kept the seat blue. And in Virginia, incumbent Democrat Tim Kaine handles the challenge from Republican Hung Cao. He will serve the people of Virginia until 2030. And big races ending in blue for Maryland and Virginia Senate. Democrat Angela Alsobrooks took the victory last night after beating Republican Larry Hogan in the race for the Maryland U.S. Senate seat. And the Democratic incumbent, that's Senator Tim Kaine, has secured another 6 years in a Senate. And we've got team coverage this afternoon. Our Candace Cole is in Alexandria with a look at the Democrat victory in Virginia. But first, let's head over to Maryland. That's where DC News Now's Yamari Sase spoke to voters about how they feel about the results.
Yeah, the results from voters spoke for itself last night, and history was made in Maryland after Angela Alsobrooks defeated her opponent Larry Hogan by 7%.
I was very happy for us as a race of people and to see a black woman be a senator, the first in Maryland.
Many are feeling the excitement in Prince George's County after County Executive Angela Alsobrooks won the Maryland U.S. Senate seat and is now the first black woman representing Maryland in the Senate.
Awesome. Awesome. We needed her there. We definitely needed her there.
Some voters who did not vote for her told us off camera they like that she's making history.
Those Marylanders whose support I have yet to earn. I may not have won your vote, but I want you to know that I hear your voice, and I will be your senator too.
Alsobrooks defeated her opponent Larry Hogan 52% to 45%.
We proved that campaigns can be about so much more than just red versus blue. I kept stressing that we need to get back to the red, white, and blue.
Voters say they're hoping she brings some change on the federal level.
I just wanted to help all the people of Maryland. I think that she's going to do a lot, hopefully, for the kids. Looking forward to seeing what she does for all of us in the future.
And I'm just looking forward to some of the changes that she could help us make with jobs in the area, economics, housing, and also safety. But I'm just happy to and support her.
Alsobrooks says she's ready to head to Capitol Hill and make a difference. Reporting in Largo, Maryland, I'm Yamari Sase, DC News Now.
All right, thank you, Yamari. Now, while Republicans are set to regain power in the Senate, Democrats did clinch a victory in Virginia last night. Our Candace Cole is in Alexandria with more.
Democrat incumbent Senator Tim Kaine has secured another 6 years in the Senate. Last night marks his 3rd win since being elected in 2012.
I was worried a little bit, but he's really great. So I'm so glad. I am very happy I live in Virginia. That's what I can tell you at this point. At least, you know, we have stayed, you know, the way we have stayed.
I was hopeful that Hung Cao will take the seat, but this is the beauty of this country, that power can be divided between parties, and everyone will have a say.
Kaine defeated Republican Hung Cao, the retired Navy captain who was also endorsed by now President-elect Donald Trump, with 57% of the vote. Kaine has a long history of serving in public office in Virginia, first on Richmond City Council and later the mayor. He then went on to become the lieutenant governor and then governor of the Commonwealth. Both candidates weighing in on the results last night.
You may or may not, over the course of the next 6 years, agree or disagree with this or that, but I won't embarrass you. I won't let you down.
Look, we fought the good fight. You know, we finished the race and we kept the faith. That's all that matters.
Cao previously ran unsuccessfully against Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton back in 2022. Reporting from Old Town Alexandria, Candace Cole, DC News Now.
This and in D.C., Initiative 83 winning on the ballot. This ballot measure would authorize ranked choice voting in elections with 3 or more candidates, allowing voters to rank their top choices of candidates. It also would allow voters who are not affiliated with a party to vote in any party's primary. And 1209, Ward 8 Council member Trayon White is staying in the D.C. Council. He is reelected, getting another term as a council member after being accused of accepting bribes for government contracts earlier this year. White defeated Republican candidate Nate Deringe by a landslide. Right now, D.C. Council is investigating his alleged misconduct. A report is expected to be released next month on findings, and the council says they will then determine whether White should be punished for his alleged actions. With Election Day taking place yesterday, you may have missed the NFL trade deadline. At the deadline, the Commanders made a huge upgrade to their defense, adding veteran cornerback Marshon Lattimore. In the deal, they sent a third, fourth, and a sixth round pick to the New Orleans Saints. That's receiving Lattimore and a fifth round pick back. Now, the fourth-time Pro Bowler hasn't had a touchdown scored on him since 2021 and is expected to start right away for the team.